Hi and welcome back. I trust you're doing absolutely well today. So we have all seen those videos of newcomers in Canada who are lamenting that they are not doing well.
I regret coming to Canada because if I had stayed in the Caribbean, I would have been way better.
Canada is not a place where I would live for free right now because people are sad.
Canada doesn't program you to work and enjoy your work. Don't come to Canada if you're stable back home. It's not worth it.
I came as a student, international business, but it's not been easy since last year. Any Nigerian would understand what I'm talking about.
There's no work like before. And when you get work permit, for you not to get the job is a problem.
And also the housing, like the change with housing prices in Toronto.
So you're homeless right now?
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
Just 25 years old.
They are stranded, or they are basically wondering if they made the right choice to come to Canada. Some of those videos are just heartbreaking. So in today's video, I want to share my personal journey, including the strategies that worked for me to build a successful life in Canada. Yeah, so basically how I succeeded in Canada after getting my PR, and I will share strategies that I have learned in over 6 years of living in Canada so you can succeed as well. I know that no two people's experiences are the same, but I'm hoping that you can learn a thing or two. I'm going to touch on finding your first job, to adapting to a new culture, to basically settling down in Canada. These tips are designed to help immigrants like you to thrive. So whether you're just arriving or you're looking to move to Canada, this guide may be your shortcut to success. A lot of times when we come to Canada as students or even as workers, the high point for us is getting PR. We do everything to get PR so we can finally relax, right? But sadly, we find out that instead of relaxing, we just started another phase of our lives in Canada that we have to figure out. Even if you come to Canada as a permanent resident, nothing just falls into your laps here. There's work involved. And as for me, nobody told me how hard it would actually be to start over in Canada even after getting permanent residency. It wasn't easy. Oh my God, it wasn't easy at all. But I found ways to make it work, and so can you. So if you're struggling to figure out life in Canada, you're not alone. People have gone through this before. And despite what you have heard or you have seen on social media, people are succeeding here. Succeeding really well. So glass is either half empty or half full, depending on how you're looking at it. So probably when you move to Canada or when you plan to move, it's like a prayer that God has answered. Finally, my prayer is answered. It's like a dream come true. I mean, before you land, you picture the stable jobs that you will get, a better quality of life, and a bright future for yourself and your family. Nothing wrong with that. You see only the good. You don't see any problems at all. And you will get all of these good things eventually. But the truth is that getting into Canada or even permanent residency is just the beginning. The real challenge starts when you try to build a life here. There are so many things that you need to learn and even unlearn. You are coming to a new country. So from understanding the Canadian accent to finding accommodation, to understanding the cost of living, to finding the right job, building a community, managing loneliness, and managing the emotional roller coaster that you will experience, all of that, it's a lot. I've been there and I get it. And that's why in this video, I'll share exactly how I navigated those challenges and the strategies that can help you succeed as well. The truth is that Canada is not all smooth sailing once you get PR. It's not even all smooth sailing if you land as a PR. Nobody prepares you for some of the things that you will face at first, because things may be so different from your home country that you may be shocked at the cost of living, the job market that doesn't always recognize your experiences from back home, and the fact that you might have to change careers. Understand the education system, especially if you have kids, or even the loneliness that comes from starting over in a new country. You might find yourself asking, was this move really worth it? Well, I thought the same thing too, but I've learned that with the right mindset and strategies, you can make it work. So how can you do that? That's what this video is about. Let's break it down step by step. First off, let's talk about the money, which is the cocoa of the matter, like we say back home. The cost of living and the strategies for financial stability. One of the biggest shocks for new PRs is how expensive life in Canada can be. A lot of times when you first land, you still have money from back home, yeah? And if you are still spending money that you are converting into Canadian dollars, everything will be expensive. So between that time and the time that you do get a job in Canada, you still need to understand how to manage your funds in Canada. If you're in a major city like Toronto or Vancouver, rent can take up a huge chunk of your income. So renting is a big one for newcomers. When it comes to housing, for me, I started small, okay? I lived in a less expensive area. I worked my way up from there. You don't have to live in an expensive city, especially at the beginning. Most newcomers don't get this. You don't have to live in a big house right off the bat. One other thing I did was budgeting. My God, I had to learn budgeting like my life depended on it. I wasn't doing big girl. Which big girl? Who big girl help? I created a strict monthly budget to track every single expense. I feel like if I didn't do that, I would have been spending more than I was making. I even do strict budgeting to this day. Seriously. But I see many newcomers living the life. I don't know who they are trying to impress. Some newcomers who live like that, the baby girl life, they have absolutely no savings. Don't be like them. There are so many budgeting tools that you can use, or you just use a simple Excel sheet like I do. That's what I use, and it will help you immensely. And of course, I manage my cost. When I first came to Canada, I cut my cost brutally, like brutally. I came to realize that small changes make a big difference. So I had all these cost strategies, like I take food to work instead of eating out. I buy groceries in bulk for my family. So I have a Costco membership card, and I cut my cloth according to the cloth that I have, according to my material. Concern me what others are doing. I face my lane. And if you're a newcomer and you're not doing that, you are on a long thing. Next, let's talk about finding a job and strategies for career growth in Canada. If you've been in Canada a bit, you know that getting a job in Canada isn't always straightforward. In fact, it's randa things, like taking a roundabout. Looking for a job here, you'll realize that Canadian experience is often a requirement, and that can be frustrating for you. That just came. Where in heaven's name will you get Canadian work experience? Ask me now. Anyway, I will share some strategies that helped me and that I know is helping lots of people here. One is networking. Please don't be tired of hearing about networking. You are hearing about it because it is true. I hate to break it to you, but connections or who you know matters, because the best jobs are often found through connections, not on Indeed. So start growing your network. Personally, I started building my connections right from school, hinting to people that I will need a job as soon as I graduate. I also joined local professional groups. There are lots of them on WhatsApp, and I joined LinkedIn communities to meet people in my industry. You can't sit still and good jobs will fall into your laps. That ain't how it works here. I also did some upskilling. Lots of newcomers do that. Even though I schooled in Canada, I realized that my qualifications needed an upgrade. So I took short certification courses that aligned with Canadian standards. And many people change careers to what is working in Canada. So you see lots of people taking IT certifications, business analytics, PSW, you name it. You need to be flexible and realize that I may need to go into tech or the service industry, whatever. If you are rigid, your pocket will be rigid too. So be flexible. Okay? Be flexible. Be very flexible. And then I did survival jobs. I'm not ashamed to say it. As a student, I worked at Walmart. I was a cashier, I stocked shelves, and I did customer service. Even people who learn as PRs might have to do those jobs at the beginning. So don't be afraid to take a temporary job while you are searching for something better. My work at Walmart helped me build local connections and also helped me understand the Canadian workplace culture. The truth is, no experience is lost. And of course, by the time I started looking for corporate jobs, I already had Canadian work experience on my CV with that survival job. Before I move away from career, one thing you must do, though, is to work on your CV. Make sure you tailor your CV or your resume to each job application. Don't just be throwing that one CV everywhere. You'll just be wasting your time. If you need help with CV and cover letter writing, just reach out to canadajobcv@yahoo.com. I'll leave it here. Tell them you are from me and they will give you a 10% discount. They make amazing and professional CVs and cover letters. Now, this next thing that I want to talk about is so important as a new PR or a newcomer in Canada, and that is building a community. This is your new home. So not only do you want to fight isolation, you want to start integrating into the community. Truly, my dear, starting over in a new country can feel lonely, especially if you don't have your family here or friends nearby. Have you seen all those videos with people that are crying out of loneliness in Canada? It's not a joke. You will feel invisible with no one to talk to, and everywhere is so quiet. It's daunting, especially if you're not with your family. So what I did was that I joined local groups. And of course, I went to a church with lots of Africans, and this was a lifesaver for me. I met lots of people who shared similar experiences with me, and I wasn't so lonely anymore. So please, don't stay in your room or in your house and be crying, Canada is lonely, oh, Canada is lonely. Make effort to meet people. Be proactive about it. I did a lot of volunteering as well. This was one of the best ways that I made friends and I gained Canadian experience as well. It also helped me feel connected to my new home, which is Canada. So volunteer as much as you can. Don't be saying that you can't do it. There are apps like Meetup, Eventbrite, even Facebook groups that can help you find events in your area that match your interests. I used these ones a lot in my first few years in Canada, and I made good friends with these apps. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about managing family and relationships. Strategies that you can use for work-life balance. So if you've moved with your family, balancing work-life, settling down, and also spending time with family or loved ones can be overwhelming. Ask anybody in Canada. Some people have multiple jobs, which even brings extra stress to their lives. Personally, I stayed off multiple jobs because I cannot come and kill myself. But you need to balance it. If you have kids, understand the education system here and know what your kids are being taught in school. Daycare in Canada can be expensive. I don't have toddlers, but if you do, be sure to look into government subsidized daycare options. They exist. You can even share babysitting responsibilities with friends. I know some people who juggle their kids among their friends. And there are a lot of informal daycares that you can also utilize. Just ask in your area. That's why networking is great. Ask people. If you're moving to Canada alone, truth is you're likely going to get lonely. So stay in touch with your family back home. For me, weekly calls kept me grounded and motivated, especially during tough times. Okay? Don't ever isolate yourself because that's when you now start getting depressed or you now start having mental health issues. Always try and be happy as much as you can. Now let's talk about the almighty Canada winters. Life in Canada comes with its share of stress, especially during the long winters. I used to hate winters. Oh my God. I was always depressed during winters. And people tell me now that they experience the same thing. Yeah, so we're going to talk about coping with the winter and stress and your mental health, especially during winter period. We're going to talk about all the strategies that you can use to stay resilient in this time. Now, there's something called winter blues. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called winter blues. Now that I know, I feel better because I realized that was what was wrong with me all those times that I used to be depressed during the winter. And if you've ever felt that way, you know what I'm talking about. And if you know what I'm talking about, just leave a comment and let's know how your own was doing you. Now, winter is cold and dark and it can feel endless. It's a lot. It's a lot. It can feel endless, like it will never end. It's a lot. But these days, I'm not depressed again in winter. What I did was I worked on my mindset and I sought help. There's no shame in asking for help. Canada has all these resources that can help with mental health issues. I used them. When I felt overwhelmed, I reached out to counselors through these community services, and it helped me a lot. So please do that. I also started intentionally taking walks, even though it was freezing, and just telling myself that all this will soon be over. And with that, I was able to cope. And if you can do this, you will cope too. If you have winter stories or experiences, please share them in the comments. I have learned a lot of these lessons in the 6 years plus that I have been in Canada. But the biggest lesson that I learned is that success in Canada isn't about having everything figured out right away. Nobody has it figured out. Success in Canada is about adapting, learning, being patient with yourself, and using every challenge, every single challenge, as a stepping stone. And you have to hold on to a higher power. And for me, that was my relationship with God. I don't think that I would have gotten anywhere without God's help. I have so many experiences that attest to that. My life in Canada today is a far cry from what it was 6 years ago. And if I can do it, so can you. So just know that you too will find a way to succeed. But remember, it's one step at a time. Just focus on that one next step. The rest will fall into place. Okay? You've got this. Don't stress too much. You've got this. If there's any other experience that you think that would be of value to newcomers that I haven't talked about, please just leave it in the comments. I would love to read from you about your own experience or any advice that you have for newcomers based on your own experience. Now, for those who plan on moving to Canada this year, there are a few new permanent residence routes that may surface this year and could benefit you. So go ahead and watch this video next to learn how to take advantage of them. Take care, and I hope you got value, and I'll see you in the next one.